today we're going to be spectating a top 500 Groot player to see what he does better and how we can improve together. So we have our guy here, DXQ, and we're waiting to see how he plays as Groot. Now, obviously, there's quite a few things with Groot in terms of how to use his walls and where to place them, as the whole point in placing Groot's walls is kind of either to block off healing, block damage, deal damage, because obviously you want to place the wall behind the enemies whilst you're obviously using your primary attack. So he's managed to spot the Star-Lord up there, but he was getting healed up. He did place his walls down behind the enemy player, so as you can see, the main thing he's doing right now is placing it behind them. Now, I understand how to use the kind of damage walls, but what I'd be really interested to see is how he uses the healing wall, because that's the one where I kind of struggle where to place it. And with this guy being such a high level Groot player, then it'd be very interesting to see, like, obviously how and where he places them. Now, for the most part, the walls that he's placed the big wall in front of their spawn. That's to block damage. And obviously any of the kind of damage walls have been placed behind the enemy players. That not only blocks them from backing up, but also allows you to deal damage to them from behind and from in front of them as well. He's got a long walk back at this point, and obviously Groot's quite slow, so this is something that, again, you need to keep in mind when you're playing different tanks. Most of them do move relatively slowly, but some move a lot slower than others, and obviously he's got the ramp built up here, which you can now break. And the one for the damage walls is not too bad because the cooldown on it's actually not too long, so you want to be using them as much as possible. And as you can see here, he's put the wall under his feet to kind of lift himself up onto higher ground, so that's a tech that you can use. It's not something I actually thought of, but he's basically using it to climb up to higher ground, which no one really sees Groot do, but this guy's obviously got the kind of movement tech for Groot down. So essentially you place the wall on your feet and it lifts you up. Now, like I said, I'd like to see a more efficient way of the kind of health wall being used. I want to see if he just uses it to mainly block damage or block off areas of the map, which is obviously what it looks like he is doing right now. Because I feel like when I place the kind of high health wall, or the shield wall, whatever you want to call it, it gets destroyed very quickly. And obviously you want to make use of that Spore Bomb. The amount of times you get easy finishes using your Spore Bomb, especially with Groot, is insane. And I think Groot's one of the best tanks to get kills with. He actually deals a lot of damage. So the enemy team's managed to push up quite far at this moment in time. And obviously he's not really frontlining that much, which is a bit surprising to me. Like I said, obviously he's managed to get like high ground and all sorts of things, and he's had a few ultimates now as well, but no one's really comboed with him, so that's something that maybe they would want to do, maybe combo with his Winter Soldier. I think that would be really good if he kept his ultimate, maybe not used it. So there's only 10 seconds to go now, and they managed to hold it off. His team's actually done a really solid job at holding this by themselves, because he has died a couple of times now, and he's used that big wall now. Now he's doing some Fortnite stuff. So he built the big wall to block damage, then he done the two walls on either edge to deal damage. So he's blocking damage and dealing damage at the same time, basically stopping them from moving. And obviously he's got the other Groot dead in the opposite team. And then he's just trying to kill this Winter Soldier, but I think he should have focused more on blocking these guys off. Using the Spore Bomb again, using the big wall again. And now he's just trying to put a barrier between him and this health pack so he can get it quicker. So the enemy team's going to capture this point, but he actually did a really good job of putting some barriers between him and trying to get to that health pack. So now we're back into the fight again. Obviously the enemy team's pushed up quite far at this point. Again, he's using that big wall just to block damage from the looks of it. I don't think he's caring too much about when people put it to the side to try and gain the extra overshields from it. So he did combo at that time with his Winter Soldier, and that time it worked out extremely well. So as you can see, his Winter Soldier's still got his ultimate. So that was a perfect use of this ultimate. Now they're basically blocking off the spawn with the wall. And Groot's getting used more and more and more now, and I think Groot's kind of a relatively simple tank to pick up actually and do well with, to be honest, because even if you don't place his walls perfectly, I still think blocking off parts of the map in general still help out your team in just general if you can place them down relatively quickly. So you don't need to place them perfectly to get some value from them. So they're back now into the fight again. And again, he's just blocking off parts of this map from the looks of it. Try to deal a bit of damage because as you hit enemies with your primary, you're going to get damage from the walls as well. We've got Invisible Woman ultimate, so you should play inside this. Got the Penny Parker. And now he's doing more Fortnite stuff to block off this Doctor Strange, which definitely helped out a ton there because it meant that his Winter Soldier could get the finish. Helping out supports, doing a bit of peeling now, which is what we always like to see. Groot actually deals a lot of damage, to be honest. I actually think he's a pretty solid choice if you want to get extra damage in. For a tank anyway. And again, as you can see, he's kind of trapped in this Doctor Strange at the moment. And he's got his ultimate going. Now this is where he got sleeped by the Mantis, but before that he was dealing a lot of damage to that Strange. And Adam Warlock has no chance of escaping that, because Adam Warlock doesn't really have any sort of movement tech whatsoever. So he's blocked off this area of the map really, really well here actually. This has probably been the best use of his walls, which is insane. No one's destroyed these walls. I don't know if they've just never realized or what's happened, but this is a perfect use of his walls. So now that we're halfway through this video, if you are enjoying it, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, as we will be spectating high level players and low level players. And Groot is a very meta character in this game at the moment, so I'm trying to learn as much tech as I can with this hero. So let's get straight back into it. So we're switching sides now at this point, and as you can see here, he's trying to kind of pull like a semi flank off around this area, blocking off the Doctor Strange. So again, most of the walls you want to place behind the enemy players 90% of the time. That is when it is working out extremely well in the previous round as well. You can use it to block damage, but I think the main time you want to use it is to obviously kind of capture in individual players from the enemy team, and that way you're going to do much, much better. They've absolutely steamrolled this enemy team, man. They've literally just destroyed through them. What a push that was. So again, he keeps using this wall like to basically lift himself up. Movement tech that we should take note of. It's not something I've ever done myself with Groot. So this guy plays high ground as Groot, which to be fair is insane to think about. It's not a way I would have personally used this character, but it works. Clearly working really well for this guy. And obviously you want to make use of that Spore Bomb as much as you can to get finishes, because if an enemy's low HP, the Spore Bomb's going to allow you to get good, quick finishes. Like I said, singling out individual targets, man. He's doing a really good job here actually of doing that. That was insane. That was actually insane, man. Using his melee as well. Sometimes you forget that Groot has a melee, but because it swings across your screen, you're probably better off using that to get a finish than the way his primary attacks work, because they're more of a direct straight line, whereas melee kind of swings across his body. So they're actually just rolling this team, man. Like, they can't get out of their spawn. What is going on? Like, they had a good fight, like, for the first round, so it's surprising that they're doing this well. Again, singled out, I think that was the Winter Soldier. Blocked off that wall. So he's using it in a mixture of ways, so he can either block off the wall so they can't come through, but also he's using it to get himself high ground. And then also he's using it to deal damage as well and putting it behind them to single them out. So it's a lot of different ways he's using these walls, man. So there's no point in him kind of fighting this Strange at the moment. I don't know if he just put two walls down, put another wall down. He needs to be careful here not to die, but his team was helping him out a ton there. Got a good few finishes, man. They're pushing extremely well together, man. That's one thing I have to say. And he's using these walls constantly to lift himself up. You could have just walked around the wall there. I think it's a bit maybe overkill, but it is a good thing to take note of, like I said. Again, blocking off the rocket from giving healing. So that's something you need to understand, and only Groot can do that, by the way. Just literally block off heals to the team, and that was a solid game. So there we have it. That is our guy DXQ. He went 40 and 6 with Groot with 40k damage blocked, which is absolutely insane if you think about it. Now, this guy did a lot of things well, but if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video, and thank you very much for watching.